stories.
Robert Bales enlisted in the United States Army in November 2001, shortly after the September 11 attacks. He was initially assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Infantry of the 3rd Stryker Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division, in Fort Lewis. He completed 3 tours in the Iraq War, 12 months in 2003 and 2004, 15 months in 2006 and 2007, and 10 months in 2009 and 2010. During the 2007 tour, he reportedly injured his foot in the Battle of Najaf, and during the 2010 tour he was treated for traumatic brain injury after his vehicle was rolled in an accident. According to public records, Bales was involved in several incidents while stationed at Fort Lewis, which had resulted in the police responding. In 2002, he got into a fight with a security guard at a Tampa area casino and was charged with misdemeanor criminal assault. The charge was dismissed after he paid a small fine and attended anger management classes. Another confrontation outside of a bar in 2008 was also reported to police, but no charges were filed. Bales was promoted to Staff Sergeant on April 1, 2008. On February 1, 2012, he was assigned to Camp Belabai, Kandahar Province, in Afghanistan, where he was responsible for providing base security for United States Army Special Forces and United States Navy SEALs who were engaged in village stability operations. On the night of March 11, 2012, Bales killed 16 Afghan civilians, 9 children, some as young as 2 years old, 4 women and 3 men, in the villages of Balandi and Al-Khazai near Camp Belanbai. United States Army investigators said Bales was the sole person responsible for the shootings, which were the result of 2 separate attacks. Investigators said Bales returned to Camp Belanbai after the first attack and left the camp an hour later to commit the second. A senior military officer said Bales had been drinking alcohol with 2 other soldiers on the night of the shootings, in violation of military rules in combat zones. According to Defense Security Leon Panetta, Bales acknowledged the killings and told individuals what happened immediately after being captured. Minutes later, he refused to speak with investigators and asked for an attorney. Bales' civilian attorney, John Henry Brown, later said, "I don't know that the government is going to prove much. There's no forensic evidence. There's no confession." However, in May 2013, Brown said his client would confess to the massacre in return for avoiding the death penalty. Civilian attorney John Henry Brown defended Bales with assigned military lawyers. Brown described Bales as mild-mannered, claiming his client was upset after seeing a friend's leg blown off the day before the killings, but held no animosity towards Muslims. "I think the message for the public in general is that he's one of our boys, and they need to treat him fairly." Brown denied the deadly rampage was caused by alcohol intoxication or marital problems, and said Bales was reluctant to serve. According to Brown, Bales did not want to return to the front lines. Brown said he wasn't thrilled about going on another deployment. He was told he wasn't going back, and then he was told he was going. Brown also criticized anonymous reports from government officials stating the government is going to want to blame this on an individual rather than blame it on the war. Bales had no documented history of mental disorder and had undergone an extensive mental health screening to become a sniper in 2008. In 2010, he suffered a concussion in a car accident, underwent traumatic brain injury treatment at Fort Lewis, and was deemed healthy. Investigators examining his medical history described his 10-year United States Army tenure as unremarkable and found no evidence of serious traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress. A high-ranking United States official told the New York Times, "When it all comes out, it will be a combination of stress, alcohol, and domestic issues. He just snapped." However, Bales has been taking an anti-malaria medication now known to cause a wide range of side effects, including psychiatric. He had also started taking stanozolol 3 weeks before the massacre. As part of the legal proceedings, an Article 32 hearing was held on November 5th through the 13th of 2012 at Joint Base Lewis McChord. The hearing included eyewitness testimony from Afghanistan via a live video link. Bales did not testify. The hearing concluded with prosecutors requesting the death penalty. It was announced that Bales would plead guilty, thereby avoiding the death penalty, and described the events of March 11, 2012. Bales pleaded guilty in a plea deal to 16 counts of murder and 6 counts of assault and attempted murder. When asked by Judge Colonel Jeffrey Nance, "What was your reason for killing them?" he said he had asked himself that question a million times and added, "There is not a good reason in this world for why I did the horrible things I did." He maintained he didn't recall setting bodies on fire, but admitted the evidence was clear that he had. He said he had taken the steroids solely to be huge and jacked and blamed them for definitely increasing his irritability and anger. At the sentencing hearing, defense attorneys argued for a sentence of life with the possibility of parole, arguing that he was a troubled man who snapped, not a cold-blooded murderer. Bales took to the stand to issue an apology to his victims. Lieutenant Colonel J. Morse, a member of the United States Army Trail Council Assistance Program, was the lead prosecutor in the Bales case. The prosecution, seeking life without the possibility of parole, closed their arguments with, "In just a few short hours, Sergeant Bales wiped out generations. Sergeant Bales dares to ask you for mercy when he showed none." On August 23rd, a 6-person panel sentenced Bales to life in prison without parole. He was also demoted to the lowest enlisted rank, dishonorably discharged, and will forfeit all pay and allowances. A commanding general overseeing the court-martial has the option of reducing the sentence to life with the possibility of parole. Afghan villagers and the families of Bales' victims were upset by the decision, saying he deserved death. Bales is incarcerated in the maximum security section of United States Disciplinary Barracks at Fort Leavenworth. In December 2020, the defense of Bales filed a request for forgiveness from President Donald Trump. J. Morse, a retired Army lieutenant colonel who led the prosecution against Bales, called any possibilities of forgiveness shocking and said he should not ever be forgiven. Jose Efron Rios Montt was a Guatemalan general, politician, and war criminal who served as president of Guatemala. Born in Huehuetenango, he was a dictator who took power as a result of a co-op on March 23, 1982. He was overthrown by his defense minister, Oscar Humberto Mejia Victors, and another co-op on August 8, 1983. In 2003, presidential elections, Rios Montt unsuccessfully ran as the candidate of the Guatemalan Republican Front. In 2017, he returned to public office as a member of Congress, thereby gaining prosecutorial immunity. He was protected from a pair of long-running lawsuits alleging war crimes against him and a number of his former ministers and counselors during their term in the presidential palace in 1982 through 1983. His immunity ended on January 14, 2012, with the end of his term in legislative office. On January 26, 2012, he appeared in court in Guatemala and was formally indicted for genocide and crimes against humanity. Two truth commissions, the Horrifying report sponsored by the Roman Catholic Church, and the CEH report conducted by the United Nations as part of the 1996 Accords of Firm and Durable Peace, documented widespread human rights abuses committed by Rios Montt's military regime. These included widespread massacres, rapes, and torture against the indigenous populations in which has been called a Guatemalan genocide. Rios Montt said there was no government-ordered genocide and that abuses were only the result of a long, violent civil war. During his time as president, he had close ties to the United States, receiving direct and indirect support from several of its agencies, including the CIA. Rios Montt's military regime was held accountable for constraining the Guatemalas through what was known as the Guns and Beans campaign, telling the people, "If you are with us, we'll feed you. If not, we'll kill you." Guatemala's 36-year civil war only ended with the signing of a peace treaty in 1996. The Civil War pitted Marxist rebels against the Guatemalan state, including the army. Huge numbers of civilians, both indigenous Mayas and Mestizo Ladinos, were caught in the crossfire. Up to 200,000 Guatemalans were declared missing or killed during the conflict, making it one of Latin America's most violent wars. Indigenous Mayas suffered disproportionately during Rios Montt's rule. It is documented that his government deliberately targeted thousands of indigenous people, since many were suspected of harboring sympathies for, supporting, or participating in the Guatemala movement. Under the Cold War-era strategy of containment, the Guatemalan state sought to eliminate the spread of communism inside its borders. The UN-backed Historical Clarification Commission found that the resulting counterinsurgency campaign, significantly designed and advanced during Rios Montt's presidency, included deliberate acts of genocide against the indigenous population. On January 28, 2013, Judge Miguel Angel Galvez opened a pre-trial hearing against Rios Montt and retired General Jose Morocco Rodriguez Sanchez for genocide and crimes against humanity, in particular the killings of 1,771 Maya Exo-Indians, including children. On May 10, 2013, Rios Montt was convicted of genocide and crimes against humanity and was sentenced to 80 years imprisonment. On May 20, 2013, the Constitutional Court of Guatemala overturned his conviction. His retrial began January 2015. A Guatemalan court had ruled he could stand trial for genocide and crimes against humanity, but could not be sentenced due to his age and deteriorating health conditions. On January 17, 2007, Rios Montt announced that he would run for a seat in Congress in the election to be held later that year. As a member of Congress, he would again be immune from persecution unless a court suspended him from office. He won his seat in the election, which was held on September 9th, and led the FRG's 15-member congressional delegation in the new legislature. His immunity ended on January 14, 2012, when his term in office ran out. On January 26, 2012, Rios Montt appeared in court in Guatemala City and was formally indicted by Attorney General Claudia Paz Paz for genocide and crimes against humanity, along with 3 other former generals. During the court hearing, he refused to comment. The court released him on bail, but placed him under house arrest pending commencement of his trial. A judge declined to grant Rios Montt amnesty from genocide charges, paving the way for a trial. This marked the first time a former head of state was tried for genocide in his home country. His trial for the second genocide, at least 1,771 members of Maya exiles began. But the trial was suspended by Judge Carol Patricia Flores following a directive from the Supreme Court on April 19, 2013. The judge ordered the legal process to be set back to November 2011 before the retired general was charged with war crimes. A judge annulled the genocide trial in April 2013, a ruling that might have forced prosecutors to begin the case all over again. Rios Montt had knowledge of what was happening and did nothing to stop it. The court found that the exiles were considered public enemies of the state and were also victims of racism, considered an inferior race. The violent acts against the exiles were not spontaneous. They were planned beforehand. Judge Iris Yasmin Barrios Aguilar referred to evidence that 5.5% of the exile people had been wiped out by the army. Rios Montt's lawyer said he would appeal. The Constitutional Court of Guatemala overturned the conviction, voiding all proceedings back to April 19th, and ordering that the trial be reset to that point, pending a dispute over the casual of judges. Rios Montt's trial resumed in January 2015. The court decided, due to his alleged senility, that a closed-door trial would begin in January 2016, and that if he were to be found guilty, a jail sentence would be precluded, given his condition. Rios Montt died in Guatemala City on April 1st, 2018, of a heart attack at the age of 91. The government of Guatemala and President Jimmy Morales lamented his passing. Pamela Yates, director When the Mountains Tremble, 1983, a documentary film about the war between the Guatemalan military and the Mayan indigenous population of Guatemala. Footage from this film was used for forensic evidence in the Guatemalan Court for Crimes Against Humanity in the genocide case against Efrain Rios Montt. Granito, How to Nail a Director, 2011, by Pamela Yates, is the follow-up to When the Mountains Tremble. The University of Southern California's Shaw Foundation, funded by director Steven Spielberg, is undertaking an extensive analysis of the genocidal Guatemalan civil wars, documented by hundreds of filmed interviews with survivors. If you're new, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me out. And if you are already subscribed, welcome back and thank you for subscribing.